Hey, everybody.
Hey, fellow Mouseketeers! It is a special podcast. I wasn't planning on doing this podcast, but somebody said I should do the podcast. And
We're not naming names, but it starts with an A and ends with an O.
Right, or a T. We can leave off the O.
Yeah.
Because it could be either or. But, but since somebody kind of forces, and this person's not even showed up yet, I don't know why, the one that sit there and tried to con us in, I would think he would be almost the first one to be here.
Right, you figure.
And we're actually starting earlier than I thought we were going to. But anyways, guys, welcome to Wish Upon a Podcast.
No.
No?
No.
Should we? No.
When you wish upon a
Podcast.
There.
But anyways, guys, today is we're gonna do these I think on the podcast, if we're going to keep doing this podcast every Thursday, which I don't know how much we're going to do, but for the time being, if we're going to do it every week as it is right now, we're going to do 1 week it'll be just something totally random, what's going on this week, and then 1 week we'll just talk about different ages of Disney movies. So from the time it started to now,
yeah.
So to the recent movie that comes out. So we're going to start with the golden age of Disney, which is basically the start of Disney.
Now, what's the time frame of the golden age? What is it, 1920s to 1942?
No, they consider it 1937 when Snow White came out till the 1940s. 41 or 42, whenever Bambi came out.
Hello,
hey, Chris. Yeah, backwards words. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not going. It's camera angles. You can't control camera angles.
Oh, no, you can't.
Oh, hold on. We're going to be flipped around, guys.
Hold on. Thank you, Chris. You ready? We're going to be flipped. A 3, a 2, a you know what to do.
What?
Bam!
That looks weird. If that's better for you guys, there you go. You're welcome. Thanks to Chris, actually. Let's just say that. But anyway, so basically the Golden Age is, we're doing feature films. We're not doing anything with Disney with small feature films, especially during the wartime. They did a lot of shorts during that time because of course, it was the World War II and stuff. So we're going to be talking about major feature films that went through the theaters. So, but, the start of it is like Snow White, and of course, Mr. over there is going through the whole entire book of it. I know there's a book of it. It's probably the only one that has, the full book of everything that I could find that I could actually print off because it took a while. There was, one site last night, babe, that I looked, and it kept printing me off, a bunch of papers that had no sense to what's going on. Yeah, that one's going to be more of because I didn't realize that one thing was covering words.
Yeah, it's covering a lot.
I know, and I didn't notice that, and I was like, so I was like, oh my god. So either we're going to have to pick and choose or whatever, find it on here.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is worthy. This one.
Yeah, it was, Chris. Yeah, they were super short, and they were controversial, basically, back at the time. But, I mean, who wasn't,
this one.
Racist or anything like that?
There's two of them, actually, that do matter. So,
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
We'll get into those.
But we're going to be talking about Snow White first. And that was the first featured film that Disney ever made, besides, Super Willie, but that was a short. That was something totally different.
Yeah, that was 1925.
No, 1928.
What, 28?
Yes, 1928 is when Disney... Well, we can go, I know he's been doing a lot of stuff prior and stuff like that, but his main thing that started his company was Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie.
Yes.
And then that's how it is. And it was kind of a funny fun fact, too, guys. Mickey Mouse was almost be called Mortimer. But thanks to Walt Disney's wife, Lily, she sat there and said Mickey was a lot cuter than Mortimer. Mortimer sounded like something, I don't remember what she exactly said, but
but to me it sounds grotesque.
Something like that. I think she used some other word, but I think it was meant the same way,
Yeah,
it just doesn't sound like kid-friendly.
It doesn't sound appealing to hear Mortimer Mouse.
Yeah, so
it doesn't roll off the tongue, too, in a song fashion.
No, it doesn't.
Mortimer Mouse, Mortimer Mouse.
And try to spell that instead of Mickey.
Well, it rolls off the tongue with Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey-Mouse. Yes, it's catchy.
Yeah, but thanks to Lily, she was the one that did the whole thing. But I looked that up last night. Yeah, it's there, it's thing. But there is some facts and some stuff about Snow White that you probably didn't know, but a lot of you guys didn't know either. Back when Disney did his movies, he actually had live models portraying certain Disney characters, like up until I think it was Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, up until Sleeping Beauty, they used live models to sketch out. So basically, what you see Snow White is an actual person. Her features are exactly an actual person who is. She was actually a 14-year-old. Her name was Marge Champion. Chosen from 200 pretenders.
Oh, so I guess out of a pick and choose.
Out of a pick and choose of 200 pretenders, Marge Champion is the face that you see now as Snow White. And she was actually a 14-year-old girl. And they do portray Snow White as 14. So I think that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, but they used live models, that's kind of interesting. Well, I mean, they still did it up until the 90s because they did it for Lion King. They brought in an actual real-life lion for animators to. So, I mean, they still kind of do it, but it's not as, popular about it, I guess, if you want to say it.
Yes.
Kind of like that. It's not as well known. So, but also there's another fun fact that I found that I thought was really interesting is, like, back in 1937, there were no technologies that would make it possible to make the blush on the character's face look natural and fairly, where they use the scribble, or, like, whatever.
Where is it?
It's on the top there. Second row.
Make it discernible.
Yeah, discernible.
Which means.
Well, basically, not to make it look overly done.
To
make it not look like, like how us women, some women.
Well, no, discernible is pretty much just another fancy schmancy word for, like, it looks all natural and not at all fake.
Yeah. So, but they didn't have that back in the 1930s. So one of the animators decided to use her own makeup to make Snow White look more natural. So basically, when you're seeing Snow White's makeup, it's actually real makeup. It's not, or at least her cheeks are not actual. It's not color pencils, paint, whatever the heck they use. It was actual makeup. And I was like, how the heck is that even possible? Without, makeup could be like, and especially probably in 1937, probably wasn't as great as it is today. Staying on your face or on anything, even paper or whatever. So I was like, that is something I never knew. I was like, that is something interesting. I was like, that is okay. Like, I was so shocked when I read that. I was like, wow. So I'm learning with you guys too on some of these because there's some stuff I didn't even know.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay. But Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs did receive an honorable Oscar. So it was unusual at the time. They didn't have the animated thing yet. The category nowadays where you have the animated feature films.
Right.
It won an honorable one. Disney didn't like it. That's a fun fact.
Honorable.
It wasn't an actual Oscar. Mm-hmm. So it was like designed as one usual Oscar, but stacked Oscar section and 7 miniature Oscars next to it. So it wasn't like a full Oscar. It was like this big thing within it. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. But because I was watching, they did a thing on PBS one year. I don't know if it was like a couple of years ago about Walt Disney, and they did say that he did not like that award because it wasn't like it was just more like, oh, I feel pity on you because you did an animated feature film, but they didn't know how to say, oh, it can win an Oscar itself.
Yeah.
When we had all these other movies that came out, so they're like, oh, we feel pity on you. So that's how it felt to him, that it was pity.
Yeah.
A pity award, basically, because it's like, oh.
It was like they gave you the mom trophy. Oh, you did such a good job. We're going to put it right on the fridge.
Kind of type thing to them. Because animation was still new.
Yeah.
But animation was based in, short films before movies. Until Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that broke the mold. There was only Disney doing it. Yeah, Disney did a lot of pioneering through animation.
Oh yeah.
And then people saw what he did, but he actually came up with this idea of retelling Snow White, Seven Dwarfs when he was 15 years old. but he didn't actually make it come true until, well, I'm assuming his 20s, I'm going to say. I don't know how old he was
I'm going to say mid-20s.
in the 30s. I don't know if he was 20s or about 30s. You know, he was young, but he wasn't like young.
I'm guessing mid to late. Like
Yeah,
20s.
somewhere. I can't remember exactly. But he was actually almost a Kansas-born person. He was born in Kansas City.
Oh, Missouri boy.
Yeah, either he's Missouri or he's Kansas. I don't know, at that time, but he is, if you want to consider, he is a Kansas boy, maybe. Missouri. We don't know.
Right?
What? I can't.
If they had an Oscar for animation, Disney would be the winner every time.
Well, and if you think about it, if you guys watch like Oscars now, and if Disney comes out with a movie, like especially animated movie for that year, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say, because there might be one time there might be some that beats it, but Disney wins every time for the animation thing. Seems like if you're doing animation, you just might as well just like bow down to Disney and be like, congratulations, you won. I know my movie's up against your movie, but congratulations, you won.
Yeah, just hey, my movie's against your movie, but preemptive GG.
Pretty much, that's how it is. It's like, okay. Because, I mean, so far since I've watched the Oscars, I didn't watch this year's because I didn't get a chance to. But the thing is, it just seems like Disney wins. And there was one year where there was 2 Disney movies up against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But in all, a Disney movie won. So it was like, okay. But they actually, in 1934, one of the short cartoons they called the Silly Symphony, the Goddess of the Spring was made primarily as a test reel to see if the animators could create a convincing female human character.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was a little bit kind of like a little, that's a nice little tidbit right there, I was like, okay.
Right.
I was like, that's something new that you never heard of that they tested just to see if they can make it convincing. But also the movie was originally budgeted at $250,000. Originally budgeted, yes. But you got to think about 1930, 5 or 6 days, because it took a while. That was probably a lot of money back in that day, especially during the Depression era.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Albert.
Oh, finally, this so-called person showed up.
We're busting your chops. Don't.
Yeah, don't worry. It's okay. But it ended up, the production ran over, and it ballooned, and it went to $1.5 million to make.
So that was like almost quadruple.
Yeah, it did. It was like an enormous sum in the 1930s. Walt was forced to mortgage his home to pay for production.
Wow. Well, I mean, it paid off in the end, though.
It did. It did pay off because it was actually a movie. I'm walking my dog. I got shit to take care of. Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry you have shit to take care of.
And also another fun fact, it took over 2 years so they could perfected the 7 doors.
Hi-ho!
So it took them 2 years to get the final product of the 7 doors. Mm-hmm. I'm like, good God, guys, what did you have a brain fart or what? It's like, so it took the final renderings of it took them forever. And I got a picture of here of some of them, but I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you came out with what you did because it kind of looks scary as goodness. Deuces. Okay, bye.
Bye, Albert. Have a good one.
But also, Chris, you could think about how much drawing had to be done. But Walt Disney is a perfectionist. So if it did not go to his liking, he will rip up whatever or something like that or tell him he didn't like it. He had his certain ways to tell you when he didn't like something. So more or less, it's on Disney's fault, not his animators, because of Disney was such a perfectionist. He wanted this movie to be great. Which, with anybody that's creating anything, you want your product to be great.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what it is.
It's your baby.
Yeah.
Random stuff on my end.
Well, hi, whoever on the other one.
I know, right? We're talking about Disney.
Dragon Ball Z. God dang it, Dragon Ball Z. Go by. You go on the other channel you talked about. Goodness gracious.
I'm sorry. I just thought it was hilarious that all of a sudden I receive a sub on my channel.
1,400 hand-drawn per minute. Well, yeah. I mean, they did all kinds of stuff, too. But like I said, too, it didn't help when Disney was such a perfectionist. And it just it went to that. But there were different names for the doors, by the way. There were
yeah.
rejected names.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of them.
They included Jaunty, Flabby, Dirty, Gabby, Biggie Wiggy, Gatsby, Gloomy, Awful, Deepy, Hoppy Jumpy, Hotsy, Nifty, and Shifty.
And you also forgot Fucky, Sucky, Gassy.
But I'm just sitting there like, good God, I'm glad you stick with just emotion.
Yeah, there you go, Chris. Horny.
But, yeah. Oh, and actually, it's kind of funny. I did not realize this either. 6 of the 7 doors have the same eyebrows as Walt Disney.
Yes.
And 1 doesn't.
That's dopey.
No.
Ooh. Okay.
Think about it. Who does not have the same eyebrows?
Doc?
No.
What's the angry one?
It's not Grumpy.
Who the?
Happy.
Happy.
He has the bushy white ones. Because they wanted to make him, yeah.
Sleep.
Happy was the exception. His eyebrows were white and bushy.
Hey, Devontae.
Hey, Devontae. Yes, you finally made it. Yay, Devontae. Woo! Woo-hoo!
Sorry if you see us kind of like looking down on
yeah,
we're reading from our phones.
Yeah, and I'm kind of reading what I found on certain things about what we're talking about because there's some stuff I'm not knowing. I didn't get a chance to sit there and look at it because I was at work yesterday, so I did this in Applied.
Yep.
So, but we're going to have a voice for Dopey.
Really?
They were trying to get Mel Blanc.
So, do you know who Mel Blanc is?
Yes, he's the voice of Bugs Bunny.
And a lot more.
But everybody would know him at that time period as Bugs Bunny because, they were about the same time. But they couldn't get him, so Dopey did. They actually did. Just decided to keep Dopey as a mute instead.
Mm-hmm.
The way it says it was originally cast as the voice of Dopey, but he has made mute instead. So I don't know if there was like a thing, like a timing conflict with Mel Blanc, or that it's because of he didn't want to do it, or he was under contract because he couldn't.
It probably was due to contractual obligations because he at the time Mel Blanc did work for Warner Brothers. And you working for Warner Brothers and then trying to do something.
Yeah, but I think I remember Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers was another one of those big ones now, and it's kind of funny now Disney owns Warner Brothers.
Right.
That's what's funny now. It's like now Disney owns you, so you're just whatever. I thought that was kind of funny, actually.
By the way, hold on, before we even continue on more, Miss Pink Lady wanted me to wear this and tell and say, oh, it's not a woman's shirt.
Oh, well, that's just whatever. You can wear whatever. There's no such thing as gender whatever clothes.
There is, actually.
Well,
there are gender and then there are gender neutral clothing nowadays.
But
you'd be surprised.
So, Lucille Laverne, who was the voice of the Wicked Queen, it's kind of funny, was able to achieve the raspy old hag's voice by removing her dentures. So she had dentures. She took out her teeth, and that's her voice without her teeth. I was like, wait, what?
Well,
like the shirt says, wait, what?
Yeah, right.
I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So I was like, well, that's so it's the same voice. Same voice actor. I thought they changed voices for that old hag. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it was the same person. She just popped out her teeth and there you go. How easy to change your voice with just popping out your teeth. I mean, seriously, it's like, okay. That's like, I can figure it out. But then if you've watched closely at the end of the movie of Snow White, she only kisses six doors.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess which one she didn't kiss?
Doc.
No, you see Doc.
Happy.
You see Happy.
Dopey.
Here you go through them, aren't you? You're just going to name all of them, aren't you?
Yeah. Grumpy.
No, she kissed
Bashful.
She kissed him too. She didn't kiss Sleepy.
Really?
Most likely he was probably
sleeping
on the ground. But that's the only one she did not kiss on when she left with the prince after she got woken up by the prince and whatnot. I was like, okay.
I don't remember all of it, so.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those movies because I don't really care for it per se because I don't like the voice. I hate high-pitched voices. It just kind of annoys me. So she's like one princess. She's like on my lowest totem pole. But, you know.
Oh, hold on. Before we even continue, I want to show you guys something real quick. She has this in her room, so.
I'm not going too far, actually.
We're not going too far, but.
Be careful. If you can get it right.
All right. And then.
Oh, be careful. Don't go too far. You're going to hit me.
Oh, no.
But that's in my room. I actually bought those at Hobby Lobby at one time when they were selling them. I kind of missed one because I could have got it, but I just didn't get to it, and it was an Alice in Wonderland one.
Yeah, but they're like the old movie marquees.
Pretty much. Besides, I don't know if The Little Mermaid was that one originally.
Yeah, no, it was.
That's
the cover post. That's the VHS one.
No, not the VHS one. It was the DVD version. But they actually, the Prince Charming was a post.
Oh, right, yeah, right, that's because the VHS one had the phallic artist drawing of the guy.
We'll discuss that when we get there. Let's not talk about it right now. We'll get to the Renaissance era here pretty soon.
A couple episodes down the line.
Yeah, so we can discuss that during that time. we'll stick with the Golden Age. Let's get back to the Golden Age.
Yeah, I already know. I know that fun fact.
Well, I mean, most 90s kids should at this point. If not, then you were kind of locked up in whatever, or that you just didn't get the VHS tape of Little Mermaid. But the prince was intended to have was supposed to be a prominent character.
The prince in Snow White?
Yeah.
And how old was the prince?
Well, no one really said about the age of the prince, but my guess, I'm going to say my guess, I think it's just a normal age that they throw out there, and he probably was about 21.
Which also is...
But I could be wrong, too, on it.
26, he thinks.
Yeah, I think he was younger than that. I
want to say at least.
I don't think it was going to be that much of an age gap since Snow White was 14.
Yeah, I want to say the Prince was at least 19, 20.
As I said, 21 is probably like your median age of a prince. Like It's like that middle ground. Unless they say it in the movie prominently, like saying, "Oh, he's actually this age."
Well,
which they don't. They don't talk to any of the princes as their age. If you realize that.
Yeah, no.
So it's more of a. Oh, you guessed. And on top of that, there's some princesses we don't know their age.
Well, there's only one prince that you know his age.
And that's Eric.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they say he's actually 21.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it's like every other prince, it's kind of like...
Guess the age!
We'll just go with 21. That is the best... At least you are legal to drink, I guess. I don't know, you know?
Most... if you go by old lore and laws and stuff, it's like when the prince becomes an adult or a man, and that's generally between 16 to 18 in their minds.
Not necessarily. Back in the time period, because you got to think how like early Snow White was. If Snow White was 14 and was able to, whatever, it more or less they're just as young. Because, diseases and stuff back in the day, kids, they started them young. Like, if you had
so
your
let's say the prince is roughly between 16 and 18.
So, but it could be.
He has that adult demeanor,
Yeah, it's whatever. Okay, well, it has to be a really good source, but I'm not trying to say you're wrong, Chris. I'm not. I really don't. I'm not going to say anything. But, so... Do you know the voice of Snow White?
No.
You don't?
No.
I told you who it was.
I literally forgot.
Wow. Her name is Adriana Castellotti. Castellotti?
That's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm. She was 19 years old at the time. And a little fun fact, too. They didn't say it in what I'm reading right now, but fun fact is, how she got the role? Because Disney was calling her dad about something. I don't know. I think her dad was part of something. I think the animators or something, or a producer or whatever.
Right.
She literally got on the same phone and started singing because Walt Disney was telling the guy, like, her dad, like, I need somebody with a soprano voice. She literally got on the phone and started singing. And that's how she got the role of Snow White.
Just.
She had a random audition that was not planned. It was just a total random.
Yeah, they'd start. See, average lifespan.
Yeah, they start young. That's why I said
So,
time period.
like I said, that's what I'm guessing that at least the prince has to be roughly between the 16 to 18 range.
Well, and I agree with you, and I'm not trying to disagree with you, but I always give the 21 age. It's that that, like I said, the happy median where everybody puts in their age and stuff. So it was like.
Okay, it's one of those amino app things. I like how old are the Disney princes.
But that could be just somebody randomly put it in there.
King Tut was married at 10. Yeah, actually.
Well, yeah, I know King Tut was. Yeah. There is some like that. It's like it's the time period basically, and Snow White was like basically in your like 1500s, 1400s.
Mm-hmm.
The early hundreds. It's not like where we are, but Walt wanted to keep Snow White's voice very special.
So Florian, they said these are estimates.
So that means it's not true unless Disney comes out themselves saying, "Hey, we made it this age."
Yes. So they guessed Florian at around the 20 age, plus minus 20. So that's around the 20 age. Could be younger than 20, could be older than 20, but roughly looks 20.
Right. Well, I mean, with anything, the princess is always going to be older than the princess, more or less.
Yeah.
They always make it that way. It seems like
which really makes.
Oh, and actually, we do know another prince's age. Actually, I forgot that's actually set in stone. Is Beast, Adam from Beauty and the Beast. He's nearly 21 because they said 10 years. So if you think about it, because he said I think it was like his 20th year or 21st birthday.
Who do we have to get on the phone to get these facts? We'd have to call the actual Disney.
Probably the Disney headquarters and be like, okay, we need someone.
Yeah, we'd have to call the Disney headquarters and actually get to the animation studio.
Yeah, that's in California. That's where it's all at. Is in California.
We were like, hey, we need records of like.
Can you at least give us an idea of like? You don't have to give me the exact age of the prince. Can you just give me the like? Hey, it's around
general idea.
What was the general idea of the prince's age?
Yeah.
But like I said, we did know Beast's age because they did say in the movie how the story went. They said on his 21st year, if he doesn't find somebody that loved him, and that will, the whole story, all that story about the pre whatever.
Is he robbing the cradle or not? Technically, yes. But the prince himself is roughly.
Well, we'll go yes and no. Okay.
How do you say?
Okay. No, listen. Our time period, yes, he's robbing the cradle. But back in those times, it was normal. Like, it was the norm. They pretty much wanted you to start having kids because of diseases. They didn't know about, washing yourself and all that.
Right, because back then it was like, hey, if you developed tits.
Well, if you had your period, there you go. It's like if you had your I would be assuming once you had your first period, it was like you are onto motherhood. You need to go get married.
No, that was another one. Shang is 28.
So Milan is she's like 18.
16.
But that's China. Back in the early days, like BC almost.
But then again, technically, if you go by today's law standards, she's still legal.
On some states, not every state. But also, too, guys, you got to realize, you can sit there and say she's robbing the cradle now. Yeah, that's our...
he?
Well, she, any way, shape, or form. Okay, good. But more or less, yes, today we would say they're robbing the cradle. Back then, it was the norm. So, you got to think about it that way. I know.
Yeah, back in the 1900s where,
Honey, 1900s was our time.
Yeah, 1900s where being with a 14-year-old was legal.
It was not 1900s. It was like around the 13 to 1400s.
Okay, well, 13 to 1400s where marrying someone who was 14 is legal, and if you were a woman, you'd have to shove moss up your cooter. That's how they did it back then. Moss on a string, made like a rope.
Well, I know, I figured that, but that's what I'm saying. But back then, that's the norm because of the disease and stuff.
Yeah.
So because it was normal, doesn't make it right.
No.
To our thinking, yes, it's wrong.
It's so wrong.
It's so wrong. Yes. But back then, like I said, they didn't know how to do disease controls, take baths. They didn't do any of that. They didn't do any hygiene whatsoever.
Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints. Imagine trying to go down on that.
But what funny fact is, back in that time period, the bride had to do was actually, that's where the bouquet came to be, for the walking down the aisle, is because so the bride could sit there and smell the flowers and not spill the stench of all the guests.
Here comes the bride. Puss smells like.
Well, actually, they do get kind of like almost one bath in their lifetime, almost, it seems like. Almost. Is on their wedding day. The bride will actually get a bath during that time.
Still, though, imagine all that funk and stank down there.
But they didn't know about hygiene as much. It was very new back then. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why there was the diseases and stuff, because people didn't get the concept. Hey, you need to wash so we don't pass on these other fucking, things.
Yeah, right. No going down there, Chris. Just.
I don't think oral was even invented by then yet. They just probably just stuck it in and just let it go.
That's some sticky icky right there. Oh my God, can you imagine? Like, I'm a virgin. Okay, let me stick it in, and it fell off.
I would be surprised if that actually did happen back at that time. It would not be. But anyways, let's get back onto track here. We went on a total. I don't know where we went. We went on another train ride somewhere else.
We hopped off the Disney train and we went onto the Cups ride.
But since the voice of Snow White, Walt Disney said he wanted to keep Snow White's voice special, so he held Adriana to a very strict contract. She was never allowed to perform on stage or film again after doing Snow White.
So it was like a one-shot deal.
And that's it. And she couldn't do anything else. She signed a contract with Disney. And I don't know how far of legalization it went.
How many years before
she could actually do anything. So, but, or till his death, I don't know. But that was something, fun fact, I didn't know that he held her on a contract where she couldn't perform on stage or movies no more again. But Adriana did sneak in another uncredited voice in The Wizard of Oz. She did, which is kind of funny. I didn't even realize this, and I have to listen to it again. I had to rewatch the movie to listen to her voice, because I know her voice has Snow White.
Mm-hmm.
But in the scene where the Tin Man sings, "If Only If I Had a Heart," she's the voice that says, "Where art thou, Romeo?" So that woman voice, that's Adriana, Snow White's voice.
Wow, sneaky.
So, yeah. I thought that was kind of funny. Woman during the time was. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Oh, and also, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the first ever film to ever release a soundtrack, a music soundtrack.
Nice.
A motion picture soundtrack. So no other movie before Snow White has never made a soundtrack. They're the only ones. So, previous musicals, if they did any musicals, I don't even think musicals was even popular back in that time yet. Not quite yet. And there might have been, a few here and there.
Huh.
But they're the only ones with the first full-length motion picture soundtrack. So, basically, guys, if you want to know, this is what their soundtrack was. A record. I know this one says Bambi, but I'm just giving you the idea. This is what the soundtrack would have looked like.
For the new generation, for those who did not know, this is called a vinyl. This was played on what's called a record player, and it was made out of a certain wax and other materials.
So basically, that was how they listened to music back in the day. But I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's an actual full-sized vinyl.
Yes.
We just have to be very careful with the casing itself, because it's old and it is a little broken.
We found this Bambi one at a antique store here in my town.
Yep. So, but yes, it is a full vinyl. I can carefully try to take it out.
Yeah, try to be careful.
I am going to.
While you're doing that, while he's being careful with it, Snow White was the highest grossing film ever for exactly 1 year. It was surpassed by Gone with the Wind. So for 1 whole year, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the top movie. So, there's a book in it? Is that like a storybook?
Yeah, it's an actual little mini storybook.
I know, but so it was like a read-along book almost.
Almost, but the pages are torn over the years.
And then they're gone. They're probably all gone.
Yeah, some are gone, but
so
it is a 100% official Disneyland.
Yeah, it's actually owned by Disney.
Although it has seen better years. This thing has been scratched up over so many years.
Well, and I'm assuming somebody played it over and over for their kid, or their kid liked it at the time. You know.
Yeah, there is.
Or it could have been bad storage too.
There is 5 tracks, 2 on one side, 3 on the other.
Well, that's awesome. We need to get a record player.
Yes, we do.
I know Sam's Club actually sells record players. I think that's where my mom got hers. All right, guys, this is a really I'm surprised fun fact, and this one's going to blow your guys' mind about Snow White. Okay? This movie was one of Hitler's personal favorite movie. He owned a copy and screened it in his home movie theater. He allegedly even drew sketches. Boom, guys, that blew my mind when I read that. This was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Hitler's favorite movie.
The fuck?
Yes.
The fuck?
I know. I was like, wait, what? Hitler loved Disney's Snow White. That was his personal favorite movie. One of his personal favorites. That explains what?
That explains so much.
Right? How? How does that explain so much? Yes, it does. Yeah.
Either way, it's just, the moment you said that, I was like, get the fuck out of here. No, oh, okay, well, no, I'm gone. I'm out of here.
It was one of his personal favorite movies was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But, oh, and the profits from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs allowed Walt Disney to build Disney Studios in Burbank.
And that's the last of that one.
Well, of that particular one that I'm going to go to. So, basically, guys, Snow White had a lot of stuff for its time of being here. But, yes, that was a very interesting tidbit.
Well, generally, bye-bye. Deuces.
Bye.
Later. So, let's get on to the next one.
No. Hold on. You're kind of pushing it here. Pinocchio's next, by the way. We're going in order.
Yes, Pinocchio.
But,
let me lift up the glasses so I can read.
So there's another fun fact too. Bambi was supposed to be the second movie after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Supposed to be.
Yes, it was supposed to be. And the work on it had started in 1936. So basically a year
what time did Hitler like that movie? That's a good question. Was it prior to his death? Like around the last year of his death?
I think it had to do, because it came out in 1937. That's when Hitler became in power, was around the 1930s. Like, for Germany and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And started taking out. So I'm assuming it had to be during his reign. So from when Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out, which was in 1937, until probably his death, I want to say. You know, so from there on, and so mostly till most of the 40s.
Right.
So.
Blue the Witch was started in 1939. Here's a good one.
What?
We're going to get into Pinocchio.
Well, hold on. I was reading something.
1939 was it?
So, not many knew that Bambi was released in 1942. Initially, it had to become the studio's second film after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the work on it started in 1936. However, due to certain perfectionism inherited to Walt Disney, the final version of the project was not ready for a long time, and thus such movies as Fantasia, Pinocchio, and Dumbo came before it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pinocchio, guys.
Pinocchio. So
Pinocchio, guys. I'll tell you this. The book for Pinocchio that was made by an Austrian author, I don't remember his name exactly. It was the most dark.
Italian.
Oh, Italian. No, and he was part Austrian, too. He was actually known Austrian, but I think he went into something else. Something like that. He went into a different country type thing, but he was actually Austrian.
No, it says by Italian author. Carlo Collodi.
Yes. But he was an Austrian, but he turned himself into an Italian.
Fair enough.
Shall
I start?
It was a dark book, by the way.
It was.
A very dark book.
It was. For example, the character known as Jiminy Cricket, just known as Talking Cricket in the book, was actually killed by Pinocchio early on in the book.
By a mallet.
Yep.
And then so he was in there as a ghost the rest of the time, supposedly.
Pinocchio's nose only grows once in the movie, even though it is easily the character's most famous quality. And
see, that's what I didn't realize that until I sat there and I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, that's the only time he's ever lied was that one time. That's the only time his nose grew. So I was like, that's it. That's a thing. Like Mario, I don't think so.
Oh, here's a fun fact. So, Walt Disney had a soft spot for the kitten Figaro and pushed for the little cat to be in the movie as much as possible. So
you know what? And it's funny,
he almost got as much screen time as
Pinocchio and himself. But the funny thing is with Figaro, then after that, that's when Disney put it as Minnie's companion cat. She used to have a Cocker Spaniel. Instead, he turned that around and made Figaro her main little pet, like Pluto is to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
So Figaro is. So I thought that was kind of a funny thing, too, to know about.
Ooh. So, since we're on When You Wish Upon a podcast.
Yes.
During When You Wish Upon a Star, you can see 2 books.
That mask. No. Let's give it a. Hold on. Don't say it yet. I wanted to see if you guys would guess what books that were there. If you even watched the movie, you don't have to. But what 2 books were in that scene at the beginning of the movie when you see Jiminy's Cricket singing When You Wish Upon a Star? There is 2 books that
were foreseeable Disney movies.
Easter egg, basically. It's an Easter egg in that movie that tells you, oh, these are going to be books that are going to be made into the movie.
Yep.
Can you guys kind of guess? No clue. I have not seen it in years. Bambi? No. Bambi's not one of them.
Surprisingly. No, not Bambi.
It's not Bambi. Okay, for one, guys, it's not the one in Golden Age. So it's not Dumbo. It's not Fantasia.
Devontae. I think, yeah. Devontae got it.
One of them
is Peter Pan.
Not Mulan and not Sleeping Beauty. It's nothing past. It is past the Golden Age, but not too far off the Golden Age. Let's go with that.
Isn't this like...
There's one more.
Silver Age?
Yes, they're both in the Silver Age.
Yeah.
Movies are in the Silver Age. So Chris is not in the Renaissance. That's where Mulan is. That's in the Renaissance. They didn't even think probably about the movie.
No, that's Renaissance as well with the Lion King.
Yeah, it's not Lion King either. It's not Renaissance. It's not Cinderella. Getting kind of close. It does have a blonde character.
There you go. That's a hint. It does have a blonde character. And there's been many iterations of that movie.
Yes, and it became a live-action movie.
Yes. So.
Yep. Congrats. Albert got it. Alice. Yep, Alice in Wonderland. Those are the 2 books that were the Easter eggs in Pinocchio.
Yep.
So, and there's another fun fact here. I don't know if it's on that paper or not, but I read it somewhere else. The clocks in the actual movie of Pinocchio, the scene where they're, Christopher Craig's clocks,
mm-hmm.
Those clocks actually became real. Because it was so funny. Disney was in there, because they would draw up the clocks, and Disney would say, oh, those won't work. So they literally made those clocks into reality to show them that they do work so they can stay in the movie.
Right.
So those clocks are produced. I don't know if they're still around, if somebody owns them or not, but they were actually made.
Okay.
So the clocks you see in the movie, they were actually invented at the same time as, them drawing them and stuff.
Here's a good fun fact. The card that Pinocchio receives from Honest John as he's being coaxed to go to Pleasure Island is an Ace of Spades, which is often known as the death card for folklore.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit to know that the Ace of Spades is actually a death card.
Well, I mean the spade, obviously, because digging your own grave.
Yeah, I figured that.
Ooh, here we go. So,
Oh, Devontae says, also, I didn't know Disney had eras. That's so cool. Yeah, most of these movies, I will tell you, these are in certain ages and eras and stuff like that because, yeah, it's kind of cool they grouped. It's easier to find those ways, too, and try to see if you have the movies.
yep. So, Pinocchio gains a few digits on his hand when he's transformed from a puppet to a human. As a puppet, he only has 3-finger gloves, but is dealt his full hand when he becomes a real boy.
Yeah. Well, I figure that's a kind of a known thing if you actually really paid attention to it.
Mm-hmm. This was the first animated movie to win a competitive category Academy Award. It took home golden statues for Best Original Song and Best Original Score.
And that's the start where you hear at Disney, and it never fails. The theme song for Disney is When You Wish Upon a Star. That is the theme song for Disney.
Yep.
So when you go to the parks and stuff like that, guaranteed you'll at least hear it once throughout your whole entire trip there.
Hey, Jerry Tendo.
Hey, Jerry Tendo.
Anyways, so the movie's original budget was about $500,000. By the end of production, it was $2.5 million.
Well, yeah, like I said, Disney's perfectionism. It made him awesome and bad at the same time. But also,
here's a fun fact. The song for Pinocchio, I've Got No Strings, is featured heavily in the Avengers Age of Ultron movie.
Yeah.
Ooh. So Pinocchio's original name is obviously Pinocchio.
Actually, I do not believe what they say because somebody said it means something else too.
Yeah.
So that one I'm not too for sure yet. So I wouldn't read
that
one.
The other thing is I guess Disney really wanted Mel Blanc on his team because Mel Blanc was originally cast to be the voice of both Geppetto's pets, Chloe the goldfish and Figaro the kitten, but his lines were cut when it was decided that both the characters would be mute. However, he does voice a single hiccup sound in the movie. That's it. Just like that.
Yeah, and I think it's the cat or it's the fish. I don't know. Well, it was Clear or Figaro. I do not know. I think I remember what it is.
Anyways, there are more than 15 other movies and shows based around the same story in many different countries. So there's at least 15 different iterations of Pinocchio.
But the thing is, too, it's funny with Pinocchio, it was actually written the same year it came out, like around the same time period. It was just in Germany, which was kind of funny.
Ooh, and the last little hint of trivia for knowledge is somewhat of a sequel was created in 1987. It's called Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night and featured the voices of Ed Asner, James Earl Jones, and Don Knotts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But also with that, too, with Pinocchio, it was just Dumbo's Next.
Dumbo's Next.
No, I think it's Fantasia. Either Fantasia or Dumbo's Next. I think it's Dumbo, actually. No, Dumbo's Next. But with Pinocchio, it was actually re-released like bunches of times throughout from the time it came out to now. No, give me back. I'm not done with that yet.
You're not?
No. Give me back. I'm not done yet. There's something still there I have to talk about. But with Pinocchio, it was released about 6-7 times in its time because it did not make the money at first because of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So the next few movies like Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Fantasia, they did not get the release that they didn't make the money as they were.
Yeah, the claws always come out real quick.
But because they didn't go overseas because of World War II, because of everything. Surprisingly,
right.
Hitler got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So that's probably the reason why it's his favorite Disney movie is because it's the only one he got to actually get his hands on.
Right.
So I think that's like the only reason why it was Hitler's favorite movie. All right, guys. Pinocchio, pretty much a dark movie, and it's been dark since then. And and then kids were actually scared of that movie, by the way, Pinocchio. Okay. They showed it in one of the theaters, and kids were so. Who was it? That or Snow White? It was one of those movies. Kids, they took it to the movie theater, and kids actually wet the chairs. They had to clean up the chairs at that movie theater because the kids were so scared of the scenes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So anyways, guys, we're moving on to Dumbo. You think it's such a happy little movie.
Well, let's get one of the fun facts out real quick. Do they have it in there?
Are you talking about the crows?
We are talking about the crows.
No, I do not talk about the crows.
Because it's a reference to two things. One, the African American stereotype, and two, because of the Jim Crow stuff.
Yeah, and which I'm kind of not really care two hoots about in some ways, because it's like, guys, it goes back in the time. It's not what you can change.
If you take a look from Walt's point of view, he was never a racial man. It was just what he grew up around.
He was not racial, but he was more like, he's showing off, well, for example, the Song of the South, which featured African American guy with the leading role.
Yep.
And people were all ticked off. That's why you don't see it come out of production, is because of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it doesn't come out of production now, since we're all, supposedly, we'll go with the quote, supposedly we're out of the racist stuff.
Yeah.
Because after the whole civil rights movement and stuff, but obviously we're not, because
it's the 20 teens. It's pretty much the era of the boy and the girl who cried whatever.
So I'm getting really irritated, and people are like, why are we attacking movies back in the time period where it was okay for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how they supposed that. We don't know. And Disney wasn't trying to be mean about it. He was showing what they would do.
Well, no.
Maybe that's how they talked. That's how they talked down in the South. That's where I experienced, because I went down in the South. That's what they talked like.
Yeah, there's always
so I'm not trying to be racist. I'm trying to be more authentic with that character. And but on top of that, with the Song of the South, too, with Remus, they were based in the Civil War time. So you're experiencing what was going on during the Civil War time.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling you the story of some stuff. Even though it might be going more cartoonish, whatever, but he's talking about history. Basically, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a history thing.
There's a lot of butthurt people who are just like, oh, I just realized this, and I am in a rage.
And this is where I'm getting irritated with people nowadays, is because of, why are we picking on freaking movies that were made way back in the time before you were even born, and you're going to sit there and tell me that's bad? Of course, yes, it might be bad, but that's the time period. You can't change the past. You can try all you want to, but you're not going to change it. It's already been made. It's already been put out in production. It's been shown on TV about 100 times.
Oh, no. You know what I think is hilarious?
And it's been out,
No. That's what I caught when I was living in Connecticut, is one of these idiots were so butthurt about specific things, and I'm like, and I take a look in their room, and this was an old friend that I just kind of threw away because of that. I take a look in their room, and guess what book they had? Mein Kampf.
Which is basically what? The
Hitler book.
Yeah, the Hitler book.
Right. And they're like, oh, but I'm butthurt about this topic. And I'm like, you're reading a book based on a Nazi man who tried to massacre
Dumbo and New Dumbo.
Thousands and thousands of people, and yet you're going to be butthurt about one little topic.
Yeah. Well, and so like Chris says with Dumbo and New Dumbo, that's the reason why the new Dumbo is so different from the old one, is because they didn't want to sit there and copy. But I'm like, dude, that's the movie.
Did you see my argument on that on my channel when people were trying to compare the old Aladdin to the new Aladdin?
I don't know. But we'll talk about that, because I think we're going to do that for the next podcast, because we're going to go see the movie Monday of Dumbo. We're going to put that in with the new stuff next week. But anyways, let's get back on track here a little bit here. I know we got heated there for a minute, guys. Sorry, Dumbo. Devontae, Dumbo, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're on to Dumbo.
So, we discussed the crow situation.
That's that elephant's out of the room.
The movie is based on a book written by Helen Aberson.
No, we didn't see it. We said we were going to see it on Monday.
Well, because it doesn't come out till tomorrow anyways, Albert. The movie does come out tomorrow, guys. And so if you guys want to go watch it, go watch it. The new Dumbo comes out tomorrow. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You might as well go in with an open mind. Don't think of the old one. And just go as an open-minded person.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say, like, between, again, the animated and the live action is go at it new frame of mind, because it's basically a recreation, like same story, but a different perspective. Yeah, well, we'll discuss that next week on the podcast, because I'm thinking about doing something with that, with the new and the old thing. Well, you can get it at Walmart right now for like $15. That's what I got mine from, and it's a Blu-ray DVD, so, I mean, if you want to, you can go get it there. It's at Walmart right now. But this is actually Disney's
one of Disney's shortest feature films.
I know.
It was only 64 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell how short it was because I remember how short it was. I was like, dude, I just feel like we just barely started the movie and it's all the way at the end. So it's one of the ones, and originally to be a short, which made it explain relatively briefly, it was supposed to be a short, not a actual feature film.
Anyone want to give me
It was supposed to be a quick and easy way for Disney to recover from losses from Pinocchio and Fantasia, but it didn't do much better. All three were victims of World War II.
So that
Yeah,
is
I know.
after Fantasia.
But whatever. We could go back and forth. Because there's a Fantasia's Fantasia.
Yeah, that Fantasia
It was
has more paper than that.
Yeah. And it was re-released 4 times after it was initially in theaters. So, and I understand why, like I can see why Disney re-released it so many times, like Pinocchio, Dumbo, Fantasia, and Bambi, because they were all during World War II times. So he thought, well, let's re-release them so, like, after the fact of the war, so overseas people can enjoy it. Because you don't know their opinion on it. They didn't get to see it because they were all dealing with Hitler and his whatever thing-a-bob. So most of those movies are ones that got re-released. See the movie Dumbo, but once I watch and look into it now. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I say, guys, you just need to take it as like that, but the Crows are not in the original new movie.
Yeah, the Crows aren't in the new movie because everybody's like, oh, well, they're racially stereotyping, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, even if you take a look at the characters, they're not really highly racial, per se. It's just a bunch of black crows acting like Southern African Americans with that set of tone, the way they act.
And I didn't think they were too bad on their racial
Yeah, no,
stuff.
it wasn't like a heavy racial, like how they portray blackface in the old TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
That is more racial than what Dumbo did.
Disney did more factual things with their characters. Even if they're African American characters are supposed to be.
But it wasn't like these crows were picking cotton and like.
No, they were just sitting there just relaxing.
Yeah, they were relaxing. They kept entering the circus. They kept fucking around, fucking with this elephant.
No, they weren't. They were helping him because of his big ears. They helped him with the whole. They gave him one of their feathers to make him fly. So he thought he could fly. Yeah,
but at first they were picking on him. So they realized, hey, your boy needs help.
Well, that was with Timothy Mouse.
Yeah.
But Timothy Mouse wasn't in the original production of the book Dumbo. He was added with Disney to make him. But for all you guys need to know, Dumbo is the quiet character, only main character that's been quiet. He's the only one. There's no other main character that you would know out of any Disney movie. He's the only one that's the quiet one. Probably many of you have never thought. No, listen. Probably many of you never thought about this one. But the one thing that the elephant from the cartoon Dumbo is the first and only one among all main Disney movie characters that doesn't speak at all. We all are aware that even animals have voices in the studio's films, but now you know that there was one that could not speak.
That is a lie.
Okay.
And I'm going to argue with you on that because in his movie, yes, he could not speak. Rewatch Who Framed Roger Rabbit. When the owner gives him peanuts, Dumbo talks.
But that's a recreated one. But all in all, he's not considering that because Roger Rabbit wasn't technically Disney.
No, it was Disney. They had licensing from both Warner Brothers and Disney Animators to flash both of them together.
Yeah, but they don't really Disney.
They don't acknowledge it.
That's what
they kind of swept it under the rug.
Yeah, but then there was a cartoon thing. It was like the Dumbo Circus. He talked like he grew up and talked.
Yeah,
there's that too. But to me,
they kind of swept that under the rug as well.
Yeah, it was like a '90s, '80s type. It was weird. They showed a video, like it's on YouTube. You guys can look at it. I didn't look at it, but I was kind of like, whatever, type thing. But all in all, I want to say Dumbo is the only quiet character to be known.
So hold on, that's a good one.
So wouldn't it be more racially offensive to remove the presents altogether?
Yeah, technically, yes. It would have been more racial to knock out the crow characters.
Because then you're gonna get the people, and even I'm surprised. And this is another thing, and nothing against you, Devontae, because I know it's your race, but I'm surprised they're not sitting there boycotting. Why can't the freaking Song of the South come out? Why can't it? I'm surprised they're not fighting that because they did fight about not having a princess that was African American. That's why Tiana turned out to be African American. She was actually supposed to be white. So why, I know it talks about the South, and I understand it was a bad time.
Oh,
but,
here you go.
But it's history.
One thing that I would also say is that how a white person viewed black culture is way different than how a black person viewed black culture, which is actually true.
Right.
Because when what we see is what we interpret, and the same thing goes for any other race, color, creed. And
I'm sorry, most of us are sheep people. We follow what somebody. So if somebody stands up, one person stands up, we're going to follow that one person.
Yeah.
Unless you are another leader type person. So if one person told you, oh, the Crows are racial, so okay, there you go, you got a flock going because there's going to be people going to follow right behind that person because that person said, oh, that's racial.
Well, yeah,
that's racial. And it's like, and all of a sudden, it's like people are doing this sheep thing and follow.
Well, exactly. It's just back then when we were kids and we watched this movie for the first time, we had no idea about the Crows.
Well,
we were young, impressionable children. We thought they were just crows helping out Bambi. If you take a look at it, or Dumbo.
You said Dumbo. You said Bambi.
Sorry. Brain fart. But yeah, like you see them help out Dumbo, and you see them become a huge role that leads to him flying.
Animated, you would not know they were racial. Ever.
Hey, Bala.
But you would not know that they're racial at all.
No.
As a kid.
Growing up, yeah.
Unless your parent told you, oh, that's a black crow. They're African Americans, or, whatever they call them back in the time. No one's going to know. No kids know. I didn't know. No. Until now. And somebody's like, oh, they're racial. And I'm like, I'm still looking, I'm like, really? Really? I mean, come on, guys.
Exactly. Like, as a kid, there was no race to us.
Well,
there was just like
when you're a kid, you're innocent.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. If I got exposed to it, great. I got exposed. But I'm more open-minded about it. I'm not going to sit there and tell them, oh, I don't like you because you're blah,
exactly.
blah, blah, blah.
Thank you, Albert. Race is something you learn.
Yes, you learn it. So that's what I'm saying. Why does it matter? Why are adults fighting over when kids don't even care? Kids are just seeing them as characters. Oh, I like the Crows. They're funny. I like their song, when an elephant can fly,
Yeah.
That stuff.
They're being nice to the elephant.
Right.
They're helping him out and making him fly. You're like, okay.
Kind of like a fairy godmother thing, they're helping him out. Yeah. It's just, I just think adults are just being really stupid.
Well, most
adults are being stupid nowadays. And mostly it's our generation being kind of babies, and the generation that's coming up are being
babies, yeah.
Because they're like, oh, that's this, that's that. Oh, just because of all this. Well, whatever. But anyways, guys, I think we need to pass on Dumbo because otherwise we'd probably stay on this topic for ever. So let's get into Fantasia, which is an all music, pretty much, type of.
Nah. All right. So.
And actually, Fantasia, I can tell you this without having to look at the paper because I read it over time, it is the first ever full-length movie that was based in stereo sound.
So, fact number one, this was Walt Disney's third feature film following on from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and before Pinocchio.
Sorry, I know we skipped.
Or after Pinocchio.
Yeah, after Pinocchio and after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
So,
it completely redefines babies. Having babies, huh? Right? It does, Albert. 6 hours later, Dumbo, right, Chris? It's like Dumbo.
So, this one's a good one. Fact number two, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, the one where Mickey takes Yen Sid's magic hat and, do the whole broom thing. Perhaps the most famous short film, starred Mickey Mouse as the Sorcerer's Apprentice, obviously. The role was intended as a comeback role for Disney's famous mouse, who was losing out to popularity to Donald Duck. However...
Which was kind of funny how he was losing to Donald Duck there for a while. So Disney's like...
I know. How is a cute, adorable mouse gonna lose to...
I mean, it was just like, really? He was losing to Donald Duck. And now they're all friends, of course. I mean, all these guys. I mean, Goofy comes later, like in the 50s.
Yeah.
But it's just like, so, and that's how. Hey, Ark. So, and then also, the design of Mickey that's in the Sorcerer's Apprentice, as him being the magician Mickey, or whatever you want to call him, was the start of the typical look of Mickey Mouse from now on.
They also considered outside of Mickey Mouse, they all also consider Dopey.
Yes, I knew they considered Dopey as being the Sorcerer's Apprentice because of him being so, like, how he was in the movie, you know, kind of the clumsy, whatever, you know, funny type thing.
All right. Fact number 3, the conductor of the music he used in Fantasia was Leopold Stokowski.
Yeah.
So when working on the Sorcerer's Apprentice,
That's okay, Art.
Stokowski offered to conduct the orchestra for free. He probably changed his mind when he found out that he would be conducting the film, like the orchestra for the entire film.
Yeah, he didn't know that. He was just supposed to do it for just the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but Disney asked him to conduct the whole entire.
So he basically did it for free.
No, I think he ended up getting paid. I just don't think he got paid enough to do it. I want to say I could be wrong. He could have done it for free, and you know Disney conned him into doing it.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past.
I mean, I know how Disney is stingy on his money as much as he can be. He'd rather put it into the animation than he would care, you know. Sometimes with music.
Ooh, this one's a good one. Live action sequences shown between the animated segments show an orchestra playing the soundtrack. In those scenes, the orchestra was miming.
Yeah, they weren't actually playing the music. So what you see in the movie, guys, the orchestra, the actual like, people were miming. That wasn't actual them playing. It was another band in somewhere else.
Yeah, you get bitched at, Mr. Oh, y'all should be doing a podcast. We're in that podcast. We told you next Thursday. You were like, nah, screw that. You should be doing it every Thursday. All right, fine. Well, your ass should be here then.
So, yeah, it was...
We still love you, buddy.
Yeah, we still love you. But, so, and also, Fantasia was one of its own kind with animation.
Yeah.
With music. It was mostly there was no talking, really, besides like, what's in between, when there was, like, a narrator and stuff. So, basically, it was all just quiet and just music the whole entire time. So technically, if anything, I could probably fall asleep to Fantasia because it's just all it is instrumental music.
Wow.
What?
So, Fantasia was essentially a way for Walt Disney to show off animation and sound techniques in films.
Yeah.
Was also the first featured commercial film to have its own soundtrack recorded in stereo.
Yeah,
there was also planned parts for Fantasia to have 3D-esque elements in the movie as well.
And they were going to actually put synths in the movie theater.
Yeah, so to make, like, for the Nutcracker Suite scene, they were going to make, like, a real treat for people by spraying around certain scents. Like perfumes of, like, candy canes and gumdrops and what have you.
Whatever they did with the scenes. Yeah, that was actually cool. And you know what? It's the first... You know how films are usually made in advance?
Mm-hmm.
This is the only movie that's ever made on the same day it was released.
Yeah.
The finishing product, the last thing, was not delivered until the day it was actually supposed to air.
Oh, this one I like. You were talking about it.
Yeah.
So nowadays, films are complete in weeks, months, sometimes even years before they even get the release. Fantasia was completed 4 hours.
Right before it.
Yeah, like its final scene was literally
handed to somebody, like right there, like
right on the spot before it was ever premiered. It was just like, here, smack it on and put it on the reel.
So now the thing is, I think it's weird. How the heck did they do that? Because they were in film strips.
Mm-hmm.
How can you connect a film strip like that? Like the last scene from the one you got, like the most of the product, and you didn't get the last scene until, like I said, 4 hours. How did you connect that? That's another question. How did they do that? 40 movie theaters were way back then. That's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Disney was an innovator. He was trying everything to make his movies stand out in some way, shape, or form. So he was thinking of all kinds of ideas.
Chris, I was thinking more or less like glue.
It could be. I don't know what was back in the 1940s. And you got to realize, 1940s, you really didn't have a whole lot of stuff because of the war. So they didn't have a lot of the same stuff.
They didn't have, like, tape, though. I know they had glue. Glue was...
I don't know if they did or not either, because a lot of the stuff they didn't really have. It was almost like another depression almost, basically, because of the war, because everything went to the war.
Or used film tape? I don't know.
I don't even know if they had that back then either.
No.
So...
Okay.
So basically, that's basically Fantasia in a nutshell. It's like nothing too much.
Oh, here's a fun fact for you guys. So Disney's Fantasia was also turned into a video game for the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive console back in 1991. where you can play control as Mickey Mouse through the various scenes of the film, including The Sorcerer's Apprentice, The Nutcracker Suite, and all of that. It is deemed one of the worst games to play. Now, the game's music was good. The graphics were great for the time.
Yeah, okay, it's
However, the game overall got poor reviews and results and low income based on unresponsive controls, poor gameplay.
But Albert, I do agree. I personally find it Fantasia boring too. Unless you're into classical music, you're going to think it's boring.
And this one's an obvious one because I've already stated it in Kingdom Hearts, because I didn't know until that moment. Master Yen Sid is Disney backwards.
That's how they came up with the sorcerer's name.
Also, fun fact, if you take Lindsay's name and take out the L, you also spell Disney.
Really? Gonna put that out there?
Yep, I'm gonna put that out there. So fun fact for you guys on that one.
Alright guys, we're going to move on to Bambi. And you know what? Bambi came out with another word, a new word that no one really? Actually, I don't know. But this is a new word to me. It was a new word to me when I didn't think of it as a kid, but when you got to an adult, you thought of it as a new word. But it's another word for basically sex. Or falling in love.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Twitter-pated. You have been Twitter-pated. So basically, in Bambi, they pretty much came up with another word of saying, oh, we're having relations, and calling it Twitter-pated. So on this channel, guys, if we talk about relationships, we're going to be calling it Twitter-pated, because it's a Disney term.
Are you kidding me? You know what? I'm gonna hop on Twitter right now and just be like, hey, I Twitter-pated you.
Right?
You've just been Twitter-pated.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't realize that, I mean, a lot of us didn't realize it until we got to adults.
I'm sorry. Every time I hear the word Twitter-pated, this is all I think.
Twitter-pated, so bad.
No, hold on. This is all I. Every time look. Now I'm on Twitter. Hold on.
Twitter-pated. Laugh out. Interesting. Yeah.
Twitter.
Check out the Ellen. You also get Disney's name. Ding. So Bambi was actually Disney's biggest biggest projects that he loved. They actually did go to the zoo to actually sketch out animals. They actually brought the animals to the studios to do. So they brought a skunk. They brought fawns, rabbits, everything. They brought them to.
Now, here's a better question: did they bring a sacked skunk or a desacked skunk?
I don't know. It had to happen in California somewhere, so I don't know what they, that's what I said. We don't know.
Because that could have ended funny or just regular, like, aww.
So like what I said about
the animation studios take for weeks.
Probably. Is that when you get on Twitter when you? No, it's not. It's actually.
No, it's when you masturbate to Twitter. Just.
Okay, sorry. I had to read there.
No, go ahead.
And it's actually based on a book called Bambi, A Life in the Woods. Was adults, not children. It was for adults and not children. So basically...
Well, I mean, with the tone...
But you know what? If you think about it, Disney took adult books and made them into children anyways. He took all kinds of stories. There are so many dark stories of every Disney character there is. There is a truth.
Yeah, but the story's also very wrong. Like, Bambi's mother's dead.
Oh, and fun fact about that one, which I think it's kind of funny, was, what was it? His daughter. Which one was it? His daughter made a big thing about it. She made a huge deal. Walt's own daughter protested the death of Bambi's mother. She was ticked with it. Diane Disney complained about the needless death. Her dad explained that he was just following the book. She proceeded to point out other incidents where his movies had veered off from the original material and make it different. So she got ticked. But there's another fun fact too, and he didn't say it. I doubt he didn't say it to his daughter until probably she got older. I don't know how old she was at this time. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, with Disney, if you realize most mother characters when he was alive were not even existent, or that they died because his own mother passed away, and he blamed it was his fault. His mother passed away in not a house fire, but a house that had gas in it, one of the heaters broke or whatever, and there was gas and fumes. I think his father survived, like got out or something, but his mother passed away, and he blamed on himself because he bought that house for them when he made money and stuff. So he blamed himself for killing his own mother. So he had this guilt up until his death. He never said anything about it. I think he told a few people. I think he even told his brother Roy. So I don't know when his daughter ever knew the reason behind why there's no mother characters.
I don't know, but if you take a look at it from a hunting perspective, you done fucked up. Because you're supposed to kill the buck, leave the doe alive.
But also, too, but we don't know the whole thing is, when they shoot, at that time. And it looks like it's more back in the time, it was probably back in the 40s, I want to say, actually, in a time period that it was made. Because it wasn't like early hundreds where they had guns like that. It sounded like it was more like, when it was more for sport, all that, when it became a sport.
Right.
So I'm assuming it was around the 1940s since it was actually, the movie came out in the 1940s.
There is one of those fun facts that I do love, and I'm going to steal it from this page but back in the day, Walt Disney did a thing that was called rotoscoping that I found fascinating. So for those,
it does say in here.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, and I've actually watched a video on this as well, which I really found amazingly fascinating, is Bambi is multi-layered. So what it is, it's like a film of a one background scene and then another of trees and then another of this, another of that, and it's layered upon layers. And instead of the camera being straight, it's actually pointed down from a crane or something to hold it in place.
Yes, Art. We did discuss that in Pinocchio when we discussed Pinocchio about him killing Jiminy Cricket.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so this camera is actually held, and the camera is pointing down on these different films, and these guys just move it ever so slowly to make it look like a moving scene.
That's okay, Art. It's back there. You can go.
Yeah.
But Albert, I do agree with you. I think no one would actually remember Bambi if it wasn't for that scene of Bambi's mom, getting shot. But it made the sense too that she did protect Bambi first, and yeah, he didn't. Whatever. It was.
That's not OBS crashing.
No.
Okay. Then I don't care.
It's in Sailor Moon because the batteries came low.
Okay.
But.
So batteries getting low because we've almost been doing this for an hour?
Yeah, probably. So, but also, it's just, Bambi, I don't see it as anything really bad. It just talks about growing up as a fawn, even without the mother, and the father kind of took over.
Right. Hi, Mama Slayer.
Hey, Mama Slayer.
Sorry, we're trying to do this as fast as possible.
Yeah, because I have to go in here. Looks like a tea party. Yeah, it's kind of like a tea party.
Yeah,
but it's a coffee party.
We're trying to do this as quick as possible because you got to get to work soon. And
well, I do have to get the kid first.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. So, Bambi, besides the scene of the moment, it hasn't really said much of the Twitter pated one and all that. There's not much of anything else that's,
Well, no, there is. Go towards...
Oh, actually, although the animals in the movie speak, they don't speak much. There are fewer than 900 words in the whole film. So there's only 900 words in that whole entire film.
That's fine. My favorite still has to be Flowers.
Some of Bambi's animation sequences were reused in other movies. So other movies after Bambi.
Have you not seen...
Oh, Disney.
Disney recycles a lot.
No, not really. Not now. But back in the 70s, that was the main thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because they could not... Because after the flop of Sleeping Beauty... Take a look at Robin Hood and the Aristocats. Oh, I know. It's the same dance scene between Robin Hood and... I know. We'll discuss that when we get there. But it's a lot of recycling material. But mostly in the 70s is when they did a lot of the recycling scenes. Because they couldn't come up with after the big... Because Sleeping Beauty was supposed to be a big one at the time. But after that flop, that's when they started just... Went downhill there for a while. Right. Because they just couldn't... That's why it was called the Golden Age / the Dark Age. And that's where your rotoscoping came to be. Was after the thing. The rotoscope is still an amazing feature. I wish they could have done a lot more. Oh, the voice of Bambi became a Marine after the fact of Bird. After the voice actor did that, which is Donnie Duggan. He was 6 years old when he did the voice of Bambi. Mm-hmm. Then he retired and whatever, but then he became a Marine. He never told any of his people in the Marine that he was the voice. He never told anything about his child acting. So nobody knew he was the voice of Bambi until later in years after the fact of him being a Marine. Because he was actually, I think, a sergeant or something.
Yeah, well, they probably either A, would have mocked him, or B, would have kind of like...
They wouldn't take him as... He was the youngest drill sergeant, instructor. That's what he was. He was the youngest drill instructor. In fact, he served, 3 times. And he didn't let them know. A general, when they think I'm going to have time to do that, Duggan said, and that's when the general revealed that he had some very interesting intel. He looked at me, pulled his glasses down like some kind of college professor. There's a big red top folder, and goes, Bambi. Won't you Major Bambi? Somebody actually kind of with that and said, won't you Major Bambi? So somebody figured it out that he was the voice of Bambi eventually. But it was like, but he did kind of like, did not like it, but then eventually he grew up with it. Like, he just sit there,
accepted it, yeah.
He's like, I'm the voice of Bambi. There's not much you could change. It's there. It's in the books. It's going to be there for the rest of the time until either the movie gets disappeared or they won't put it in, like, streaming services or something, whatever, where the movie's not going to be shown.
Right. There's another fun fact, too, about that, isn't there?
What? Well, it was based on a book, of course.
Yeah, here we go. Not many know that Bambi released in 1942.
Yeah, I already read that. I read that right before.
Because he wanted to be a perfectionist about that.
Yeah, it was one of his next biggest projects that he really enjoyed. No, the rest of that's just all highlights. Bambi was supposed to be the second film, but it ended up being not because
was it fourth?
Yes, the fourth out of the Golden Age. So basically, guys, that is the talk of the Golden Age of Disney. So that's basically Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. So those are your Golden Age movies. So if you guys want to check them out, I highly suggest you check them out. Make your own opinions on it.
And next Thursday...
we are going to discuss, because we're going to plan on seeing Dumbo Monday, because I guess the time so I can see it on my day off, because I'm working this weekend.
Yep.
So we're going to go see that, and in the next podcast, we're going to talk about the Dumbo movie with the
spoiler free, of course. We're going to try to do our best to not...
Well, we'll let you know if there's spoilers. If not, so you can, mute it if you don't want spoilers. It's up to you. It's your choice if you want spoilers or not, because I know we're going to say some stuff about spoilers. It's going to come out no matter what.
Sure.
So we'll let you know, when there's a spoiler, we'll say, hey, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear, I would mute it, turn off, whatever you want to do with the podcast. It's up to you.
Change the YouTube channel.
Yeah, either or. So we're going to talk about Dumbo in the live action, comparing it to
the original
animated version, and talk about that.
Spoilers be damned. There you go. Actually, yeah, we'll just do complete spoilers.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about it. We're going to spoil it no matter what, because we're going to compare it to the movie anyways,
right.
To the original. So we're going to have spoilers no matter what you're going to do.
And then after that discussion ends, we're going to be talking more about the history of Disney's going with the Silver Age, right?
No, that'll be the next week after.
Oh.
Make another full podcast out of it.
Also, guys, if you're interested in my stream tonight, we're going to be doing more Kingdom Hearts 3, as it is a special day, Disney-wise and Square Enix-wise. Today is Sora's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Sora. Yay. So this concludes the podcast today. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And I think this was a pretty awesome one because we sat there and had some good discussions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I seriously think we could have talked about Dumbo for a while. We could have talked about a lot of them for a good while, but we had to get, back on track. So.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, guys, this is it for us for the Wish Upon a podcast, and hope you guys see you next Thursday.
See, it wasn't that hard to do, he says, laughing face.
Yeah, it was hard to do when you had to go look for facts about the movies that you didn't know already. That was kind of like a one-day thing, because you told me one day ahead that I should do a podcast. We should have done a podcast. But
so I thought on the fly. And actually ended up being a good podcast.
It did. And we got into some stuff. So, yeah. So,
all right, guys.
That's it for us. So, see you next Thursday, guys. Bye.